N and the M kind of overlap, and
Okay.
I'll send you
Yeah.
some prototypes to see what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Uh,
that's great. I think because especially because the R, the N, it kind of
mhm,
seems like and a little bit,
mhm.
so and it just flows kind of nicely. And I feel like it's like a short way to just summarize what we are.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So I just clicked live. I'm just going to make sure that we are live.
Okay.
Um, all right. Yeah, we are live.
Okay, great.
Cool. So what is up, Abby?
Hey,
Uh,
Haney, how are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. You want?
Just
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
hanging out over here.
Nice. Nice. Let me just silence this right here. You want to tell the people what we're doing and why we're here?
So I am a registered nurse working in Manhattan, and right now we're
Yeah, we are
currently dealing with COVID
live.
crisis. But usually, I was previously a med surge float pool RN, and now I'm working in the ICU.
Awesome. Let me just silence all these alerts.
You're so popular.
I don't know about that. I think people are looking for some money. Um,
It's like a bill collector.
so my name is Haney Malamet, and I'm a critical care and emergency medicine doctor in South Jersey here, and also dealing with this whole COVID epidemic. We're both on the front lines, and we met on Instagram a couple weeks ago and had some ideas for how to collaborate on content, and this sort of came out of this, thinking that we could probably do a podcast and there's so many doctor podcasts and there's so many nursing podcasts. I haven't seen too many overlap where people can share their experiences and the overlap on how each discipline, um, their own problems and how they collaborate on those problems together. So here we are.
Definitely. I think there's so much separation between our two departments, and there's a lot of misunderstandings. And I think it would be really great if we could have an audience base that we could all discuss all these problems together, because I think we would realize that our problems are kind of common and we all have the same goal.
Yeah, it's all perspective, really, right? It's
Definitely.
what one person or one group thinks is their problem is seen in a very different way, and often when you just talk about and confront it, the solution is right there in front of you.
Absolutely.
So that's something we'll probably explore as we move on with this podcast, or vodcast, or what's the
I don't
hipster law.
know. Yeah. I mean, I guess, the best thing is if people watch this and they have suggestions of the best way that they would like to take this in, maybe we can do that. We could take some feedback.
I like that. So we can take in some questions. We'll figure out a way how to do that,
Yeah.
uh, and we'll get that out shortly. So I guess let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Have you been seeing any COVID patients? Any
I
patients?
have been seeing a lot of COVID
Okay.
patients.
Yeah.
Yeah. My hospital is, I'd say, above 90% COVID positive. We had one MICU. We now have four. We've
Oh,
created additional step down units that are just for COVID patients. They came in actually and renovated a whole floor. They cut holes in the door so that we could actually have a window to see them, which was really helpful.
mhm.
So yeah, we're in it right now for sure. But they're saying we've reached possibly the cap and we're gonna plateau soon. So we're just all waiting for that and hoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. So here in South Jersey, we're also seeing plenty of patients. We're about a week away from our peak, as predicted. And yeah, we're almost filled with all COVID patients, and we have another COVID floor. But we've had contingency plans here, and we have a really good action plan. So if it really surges, we think we know what we're going to do next, and I think it's a pretty decent plan. So you know, we are talking earlier. One of the benefits that we had, but unfortunately for you, is that we've been watching what other hard hit areas are doing, and learning from them. So
Sure.
yeah, I think we have a pretty good plan in place for if it surges. The thing I don't understand is that it's not tremendously busy in the sense that, when I'm on overnights doing admissions, I'm not seeing a tremendous amount of consults that are non-COVID. It's not like
Right.
there's like the standard critically ill patient and COVID. For whatever reason, it's
Right.
just been like COVID.
Yeah, same here. And actually, I was curious about the same thing. I was reading a New York Times article today that discussed that. Where are the other patients? Where are the STEMIs? Where are the stroke patients?
Right.
And unfortunately, the article sort of pointed out that maybe a lot of people are just staying home, even though that they're very sick. They don't want to. They would rather not risk coming to the hospital right now. So
Yeah.
I'm curious if after this is all over, we're going to be slammed with everybody else finally coming in for their issue. And it might be exacerbated by that point.
Yeah, it usually happens like on the Super Bowl or the World Series, like that night, it's
Yeah.
quiet. And then the next day, everyone gets hammered, but
Yeah.
or the
All
year
the
gets hammered.
CHF patients come in.
That's right, all the potato chips.
Yeah.
But but now, I mean, it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. I truly don't know. I mean, we're still seeing some, but the volume of ICU patients, like the septic patients, the
Hmm.
DPA patients, just not seeing them. Maybe people all of a sudden just start taking better care of themselves
I don't
because
know.
they,
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
but
mean, if they're staying at home, the article also pointed out maybe they're not as physically active, they're not aggravating their issue. I don't know if that's true. Who knows?
yeah, yeah. Now, is your family in New York?
No, no, I'm originally from Michigan, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've been in New York for like 7 or 8 years, I guess.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that makes me a New Yorker. It definitely makes me not fit in Michigan anymore. Yeah, yeah. What about you? Oh, your family is in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm 100% from New York, and so it breaks my heart when I see all the stuff happening. But I think anyone that comes to New York and you spend 1 year in New York, you're knighted, or you know, you're
Yeah.
officially a New Yorker at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have a rat charge me once, so
Oh, you're a New Yorker.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your hazing. Everyone gets that.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
smell the tourists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, is your family safe at home?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
precautions are they taking?
yeah, everybody's okay. And I don't know about you, but I've been personally self-quarantining because I feel like I'm probably really
Mhm.
contagious
Yeah,
or could be. I
sure.
mean, who knows? And we weren't offered tests specifically at my facility. So a lot of people were symptomatic, and so we're not exactly sure who had it and who didn't. So I'm just being extra cautious, and I haven't seen a soul in about 3 weeks. It's been kind
Yeah.
of bizarre, actually.
It's really tough. I mean, that's one of the other um, pieces of this whole pandemic is from a mental health point of view. Um, what are people doing? If you don't have a good social network chain, if you're single or just all sorts of things, older person who's
Right.
has
Right.
widowed, or what are you doing with all this? It's
With all this time, yeah. And then the reverse is, if you're a healthcare provider and you do have a family, what do you do? Do you quarantine yourself from them? I mean, what have you been doing?
um, that's been a topic of discussion in our house. There was a period where I was coming into when things were rising up, and I talked to my wife and I said, "Listen, I think I'm going to move out for a while, and because I don't want to risk anyone getting sick at home, and specifically her, the kids.
Right.
Kids supposedly, even though there's case reports here and there,
But
um,
yeah.
and then, she's very practical. She said, so how long is this going to go on for? I was like, well, the pandemic can go on until June. She goes, okay, so you're going to be gone till June, and then 2 weeks after that to make sure you're infected. She goes, that just doesn't work.
Right.
And it's true, like I have 3 kids and I love hanging out with them, and I'm like a real family guy. I don't know
Hmm.
what I would do if so what we
Yeah.
decided is I would just at home, I would not do as much like wrestling and hugging and kissing, and just
Right.
like make sure the kids understand why that's happening, and
Hmm.
keep my distance and hope for the best. So I'm
Right.
sleeping in a separate room. I shower, have a,
Yeah.
a separate like area in the basement, but I'm hanging out for the most part everywhere
Right.
where they are
Right.
just keeping my distance.
Social distancing though. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, family distancing.
Family distance. Yeah.
It's tough. And then if I do get symptoms, then we'll have a contingency plan of where I can go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's tough. I know a lot of the nurses, the same kind of thing. Like we step into these rooms, and for the most part, I think most healthcare providers, you don't always think of yourself first. A lot of the nurses that I work with, they have small children like you, or they have parents that they take care of, and that's been really difficult for those nurses.
It's really hard. And then, imagine if you live with an elderly parent who has some immunosuppression and that's all you have. Like, you're not financially
Exactly.
set enough to just be like, yeah, I'll go stay in a hotel. And
Right, right,
just
right.
don't have that option.
Exactly. And that's something that our PCAs, our assistants, our nursing assistants, they struggle with that because a lot of them do live in family households that are combined, and that job is really needed for a lot of them. And so it's a really difficult situation.
Yeah. I mean, when people reach out to you and ask what they should do? So let's say I reach out to you and I ask you, well, like, what's your advice that you've been given out?
Um, well, so there is there's actually a lot of well, first of all, my hospital has been really, overall, nothing's perfect, but overall my hospital's been actually really wonderful. I've been very lucky. They have offered housing in Manhattan for workers, so if they feel uncomfortable going home, they can
Mhm.
stay there, and that's for anybody. That's for housekeeping or anybody, which is kind of amazing. The general public, I've been getting a lot of questions of how can I help. I think a lot of people want to help and they don't know how to do that. I think that there's a lot of organizations, especially in New York City. Meals for Heroes is one of them that I just saw, that you can donate to their GoFundMe, and then they actually buy food from local businesses to support the local business, and then they drive it to the hospital and drop it off,
Wow.
and they're feeding, which I think is such a brilliant idea. um,
Yeah.
Also, I think if you just have in general somebody in your life that you know is an essential worker, reach out to them, FaceTime them, because I think, like myself, I've been in quarantine for 3 weeks, we get a little lonely. um, and just staying inside and hand washing, and also donating blood, because I'm not technically allowed to donate blood. You probably aren't either, I'm assuming, because
Mhm.
I've been in contact with COVID positive patients. So, and we need blood at my hospital, definitely. So that's a
Mhm.
great thing people can do too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that people can do that sort of feel helpless. Um, have you had people like reaching out to you saying, "Hey, can I sew you some masks?" Or
Definitely. I've had people send me masks, actually. I've had a few friends that have sent me masks. I've had a few friends that have offered to, they've said, oh, order on Seamless, and then, I'll Venmo you. I want to buy your unit dinner, which is really, really nice. I think in general, the feeling that I'm getting from a lot of the messages that I receive is that everyone feels this sense that they wish they could do more to help. And so the general public, I think, feels a little helpless. They want to help the healthcare workers that are going through this, and sometimes they don't know how to do that. And then I know that, like, even healthcare workers, doctors even, have reached out to me personally and said, I wish I could be in New York City, and they feel a little helpless also. They want to come and help us fight, but they have to defend their own hospital as well, which is understandable. And then even I had a doctor on my ICU who I could see she was just defeated. And I said, are you okay? And she said, I just feel really guilty that you guys are at the bedside, the nurses are at the bedside for so many hours, and we're not. She's in the ICU in Manhattan fighting COVID, doing the best she can. And even she felt guilt. And so I think we all just feel the sense that we could be doing more, or, it's just universal for everyone.
yeah, it's a little bit of helplessness also. Even though you're in it and you're doing stuff, you still feel like, what else? Like it's almost like you want to control this thing that's out of control. And
Absolutely.
I that's where a lot of guilt comes from, is people saying, what else can I do? It's like, you're doing enough. I mean, you're showing up every day, you're working,
Yes.
you're probably working more than you normally work. And yeah, I mean, I feel the same way too about the ICU nurses. They're working on the techs and
The
you know,
techs, yeah,
the
housekeeping,
therapists. Yeah,
yeah.
everybody, like they're in there, and then I get pulled off the unit to go see consults, and I feel guilty that, I just don't like whenever they prone, I just go in the room, and like I don't have anything to do except stand there and or maybe hold the Foley bag, but
Hmm.
they're like a well-oiled machine. They actually don't need me, is what they say.
Right.
But I feel this guilt of like everyone's in there in their PPEs, and I should be in there as well.
With
But
the team,
with
right.
the team, yeah, it's
Yeah.
this this whole thing has really solidified the notion that we're one team in the ICU. It's always been that way, but there's been a little bit of, you know, clash, social cast or
Hmm.
whatever between. But I think hopefully at the end of all this will really solidify we're all healthcare workers. We're all in this together. So many movements, so many people talking about, I don't know, people are talking about a revolution after all this is done
Right.
of healthcare,
Right.
which I think interesting. I think
Yeah.
that'd be an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to just real quick mention you said you feel guilt about leaving for consults. I feel guilt that I've never run out of masks. I have friends who have, and I feel guilty that I've had an N95 this whole time. It's just like it's kind of absurd. Like you need consults, we need masks, it's just yeah.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
relative. But yeah, it's the mask thing has been another guilty thing too, because I feel, yeah, you have a huge following on Instagram, and I know people reach out to you and ask you questions. But people they text me and they're like, "Hey, my hospital is doing this and this. What do you think about that?" And in my heart, I'm like, "Oh my God, I would walk off the job, or I would
Right.
demand something." And because I'm so fortunate, I don't know how it feels to say you either work or you leave. So I'm speaking from, they asked me this advice. I really don't know what to tell them honestly and fairly.
Yeah.
So it's tough. There are people that are suffering, and their hospitals may or may not be telling them the right things to do, and they're asking you for advice. That's where some of my guilt comes from. I just don't know what to say to give them a balanced answer. Like, you can't
Same.
just quit. You have to pay your rent, you have food to pay,
Hmm.
but you can't put yourself at risk
Right.
because you have a family and you have your health. And forget, even if you get sick, you're out for 2 weeks or so, and you're leaving your colleagues to pick up the slack. It's
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
so many dimensions to this.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually just read something talking about, because I mean, we're very lucky in New York. We were able to recruit a lot of travel nurses to come and help us. The hospitals in Detroit, for example, don't have that luxury, and they don't have proper PPE. And then they also are significantly understaffed. I mean, in a way that nobody would ever agree to work. And so it's just like I just can't believe some of the stuff we're facing. I mean, I really feel for them.
Yeah. Did you see Nurse Sonia's post? I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, where they had these, I forget where it was, but supposedly these nurses showed up to work, these ICU nurses, and they told them you're going to be ratioed like 1 to,
26, I
yeah,
think.
26 or something. And they basically said,
Unbelievable.
do it or walk or leave.
Or leave, right, right.
Oh,
And I think they left, and then they made the day shift stay,
yeah,
so they worked 24 hours with those ratios. I mean, the fact that no, I mean, I don't know, but if no one died, if a patient wasn't impacted by that, I'd be surprised.
it's just bananas. They're basically saying, do the wrong thing or lose your job.
Right, right.
What? Like,
Yeah.
nurses are patient advocates, and no one's saying that they don't want to work. They're showing up for work.
Right, right. But they don't want to work in an unsafe manner. I mean, we have to protect our license also. I mean, if I make a mistake because I have 26 vent patients, at the end of the day, no one's going to say, oh, well, you were overwhelmed. They're going to say you made a mistake. It was an error and a patient died because of it. And now you're not a nurse anymore. you know,
I know. Yeah,
it's
that's
crazy.
something. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of all this, and if there'll be lawsuits or uh, there's just so much after, like post COVID. It's going to be such a different.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting that when going back to what you said about the revolution, I hope that happens. I hope that people who have business degrees stop running some of this. They need to put somebody with a medical background in charge of some of this, because they don't understand. They have no idea. They're so far removed from the bedside. And really, we all advocate for the patient, and we need them to advocate for us. And that's just not happening in a lot of these hospitals.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I might just retire after all this and do something else.
No, you won't.
I don't know. I might. What would you do if you weren't doing medicine? What would be the thing that you did?
Oh, it would still be related, I think. I always thought of this kind of broader healthcare project that I eventually want to do, maybe something with public health or a nonprofit, something like that. I'd like to eventually try to get into that. Maybe when I'm finished with my master's, I'll do that.
What are you doing your master's in?
Nurse practitioner. And so I went back and forth. Should I do, public health, or should I do NP? And I went to the Columbia Melman Public Health Building, and I spoke with someone there who's an NP, and she also has her master's in public health. And I asked her opinion about it, and she said, do the NP because you can do public health with the NP. It's more flexible. So I'm gonna get the NP, and then we'll see if I need the public health, I will, but maybe I can do it without it.
Well, what if healthcare didn't exist then? What would you do?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. Really? Like your whole life when you were born, you're like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a nurse.
I wanted to be a ballerina. That, yeah. And then that didn't work out because I have short legs. And I don't know. I can't see myself really doing anything else. My grandmother was in nursing, and I went to work with her. She worked at a group home for years, and I used to go to work with her, and that was like my hangout. I was like a kid. I would just go hang out over there. So yeah, it's hard for me to imagine doing anything else, honestly. Yeah. What about you?
Well, now I can't say anything like I'm going to sound like a complete idiot. I really
you can have other interests.
Something so noble. I since the age of 2, I went with my grandmother to the nursing home. What did you want to do?
Okay.
Oh, you want to play in the band? Really noble of you, Haney. Great.
Yeah. You can play guitar. It's okay.
No, I want to be a doctor since the day I was born. I'll just leave it at that. I can't follow up with that.
Okay,
no, honestly,
sorry.
I don't. I probably do like some sort of graphic design. I've like picked up these hobbies along the way about like video editing and computer graphics and stuff, and I'm enjoying it a lot. If it paid more, I'd probably switch over.
Yeah.
But I love medicine. I love it too. I've grown to love it, and it's so rewarding. And I think post-COVID, it's going to be more important that people who are in healthcare and passionate about it stay involved and don't get disenchanted and retire. Mm-hmm. At one point I was like, you know what? This whole healthcare system is just kind of, crapping on us, and maybe I'll do my duty. I'll finish it up and then I'll leave. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, if everyone does that and there's only people who do it just for the money, mm-hmm. then healthcare won't change.
Right.
The administrators won't listen to us.
Yeah.
And so I do think more than ever after this is all done, like people with who are good intentioned and have good ideas stay involved, because I do think there's going to be a reshuffling of the deck, and it's important that we have a say in how it gets restructured.
Yeah, definitely. So what are you doing when you're not thinking about COVID?
That's a good question. So, with the kids and the family, there's a lot of that. So mm-hmm. just hanging out, they're doing the homeschool, so helping them with homework. But I've been watching a lot of Netflix, which I never really watched before. Like, I'm not like a TV watcher.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been watching like a lot of Netflix and a lot of documentaries. I've seen a lot of.
What are you watching?
Last night I saw American Factory, which was this Obama-backed. Obama has a production company now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, like I shouldn't say Obama. It's the Obamas. It's probably Michelle. Michelle's behind all the good stuff.
Let's be honest, it's Michelle. It's Michelle's network.
That's right. And that was really good. And then the night before that, I saw Fire, which was, do you know Fire, the Fire Festival?
Oh, so, yeah. Oh my God. That was good.
That was really good. I was like, wow, this guy is such a scam artist. I loved it.
Yeah, I
It's
love
great.
it. It's crazy. Yeah. Did you watch Tiger King?
Yes, I finished Tiger King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Oh my God. That guy, he's like my favorite person in the world. I love him.
He is just so many, and every episode you think, did you see Making a Murderer?
Yeah, I did.
So when you're watching it, you kind of get it, and then you're just watching every episode to just kind of see how it ends.
Yeah.
But with Tiger King, every episode you're like, what? There's more?
Wait, what?
This guy,
What is he doing?
this guy's more colorful than the last time I saw you.
Yeah. He gets that like access channel just to like talk about that lady. Like, what is he doing?
And then
It's
that lady
amazing.
loses her arm, and then
Yeah.
and then he like does the country thing, and then they says he doesn't sing the country songs, and then
Yeah.
it's selling the tigers, and
Yeah.
then the other guy, the like the guru, the sex guru guy,
Yeah.
like,
What
the
is he
8
doing?
wives.
What? It's
I just-
crazy.
It was bananas. How
Yeah,
about you? What are you up to?
Well, same. I've been doing a lot of Netflix stuff. I watched Tiger King. That will forever be linked with COVID for me. And then also I bought a cookbook. I'm gonna try to like do something more productive than just dwelling on all of this, reading constantly about COVID. I need to read something else. So I bought a cookbook. I'm gonna try to sharpen up my terrible cooking skills.
Are you able to find food for the cooking in New York?
Well, wait, what?
Are you able to find the groceries
Yeah. So my grocery store is actually pretty good. They have most things. They do not have toilet paper though. They're like, it's like the second I went to Target, actually, I was being safe. I went at like early in the morning and like social distancing, and I had to go for like one time. And I went, and there was this, I went, I think they didn't open till 8 a.m. and I got there at like 7:45, and I'm waiting. And there was just this sense of anxiety with all the women around me. Everybody was just a little like uptight. And I was just like, okay. And I didn't need that. I didn't need anything like toiletries, anything. And then I watched them just rush, and nobody was like pushing or anything, but they did just practically run, and they ran right to the toilet paper aisle. And I was just like, this isn't necessary.
Why right after Thanksgiving, right? Where people are going crazy at Walmart for like the crazy TVs.
Yeah, that's how it felt. Yeah, toilet paper.
Huh.
Yeah, it was not necessary. They do have the grocery store is pretty good. The first week of COVID was a little crazy here. The bread aisle was completely gone. And I think like eggs, milk, pasta, rice, that stuff was kind of gone. But it's calmed down since then.
What's like your favorite comfort food that you cannot find?
Ooh, that I can't find right now?
Or maybe it's New York. You can get anything you want.
That's a good thing about New York. I can kind of order whatever I want still. Yeah, the weirdest thing that I couldn't find, that I'm still having trouble finding, is chicken. They don't sell. There's no chicken. It's like I had to make soup 2 weeks ago, and I had to use turkey because everybody, the second they put chicken on the shelves, it just goes. It's crazy.
You know what's a really good chicken substitute in New York City?
What? Pigeons?
Yeah. Oh, pigeon.
Yeah.
Just like chicken.
Yeah. One time I was at the park a couple years ago, and I saw all these pigeons. Somebody had put all this bread down on the sidewalk, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Someone's like feeding the pigeons. And then I saw this guy jump out of a van, one of those big utility vans, and he had laid down a net with all the bread on top of it, and he scooped up a bag of pigeons and he threw them in the back of the van and took off. I was just stood there like, did that just happen?
Here's the real question, though. And this will define whether or not you're a New Yorker or not. Was there a piece of you that was kind of glad? Because people say pigeons are rats with wings.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're disgusting. Let's be honest.
Yeah. See, you're New York. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything is pretty manageable down here, but same thing too, toilet paper. And you just have to be persistent if you're going to do the online. We do some online ordering. So you just have to sit there with the cart and just like refresh, looking for times, refresh.
Yeah.
And then you guys must have Instacart up there, right?
They've canceled Instacart for now. That's what I usually use. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
it's really cool. The person, so we have it down here for this, and the person's at the store shopping and like texting us. There's no chocolate chip cookies. What do you want instead? Like you're
Yeah.
like live chatting with the person who's in the store, and then you feel kind of bad. It's like, I should be in the store shopping. I could do that. I'm not.
I know. If I can
not that
text
behind.
you, like I could be at the store, right? I'm
I
just like,
know.
I don't want to be though.
I know. There's that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, especially in New York, I mean, I only have one grocery store in walking distance of me, and
Mhm.
that one is not the best. So I use Instacart. I can go to like a better grocery store basically.
But they've canceled it now.
They've canceled it. And Amazon is taking like 3 to 4 weeks to deliver anything here right now. So you really have to kind of be selective, but there's a lot of like local pharmacies and stuff that people aren't discovering. Yeah. There was like, it was like, I went to the grocery store, there's no hand soap, all of this stuff. I went to the pharmacy, they had everything. So it's like,
guess what, Abby? Now the pharmacy is going to be sold out. You just,
yeah, I just gave them a shout out. I better go now.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when do you work next? When's your next shift?
I don't have to work until Saturday. I finally have like a long stretch of days. This whole time I haven't had that. So I'm really taking a break. I'm so grateful to have some relief. Yeah. Yeah. What about you when you go back?
Well, if I don't get called in, then next week. Next I work the whole week next week. So
okay.
It'll be peak week. It'll be, excited to do it and be there. But you never know when you're getting called in. So just kind of laying low, not drinking during the day like I always do.
Yeah.
I'm drunk at the time, just passed out. But I gotta stay sober.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah.
It's been really hard and heavy.
Yeah. I know you're suffering. I know.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah, it was nice to catch up with you.
For sure, you too. And just let everyone know that we'll be doing this pretty regularly. We haven't figured out the interval yet, but we're planning on doing this VODCAST or whatever this winds up being called pretty regularly, and we'll have some guests on as well and just talk about stuff that's topical. And being that I'm going to repost this, if anyone has any questions or topics that they want to put out there, just let us know on my Instagram account, which is at Critical Care Now, or in Abby's, which is
the Nocturnal Nurse.
Yep. Or just however you want to get in touch with us. Even carrier pigeon and send it right to Abby.
In a van, though. Put the carrier pigeon in a van first.
But it was good catching up with you, and let's just do this again real soon.
Okay. Nice to see you.
You too, Abby.
All right.
Have a good
bye.
Bye.